Rosehaven was apparently popular with a bunch of folks. You had 10 people, which ended up being $135.50, which I'll be putting through via credit card shortly. But I think it's important for your constituents and those other folks who end up seeing this, understanding sort of what you're doing with donations in general and how you've had to change over the last year with the pandemic. Sort of, is what you do with donations different, or is it basically the same as it was a year ago? So explain what you do and sort of maybe explain a little bit how it's changed in the last year.
Sure. So yeah, my name is Liz and I'm the development director at Rosehaven, and we are the only day shelter and community center in Portland serving women, children, and folks who are marginalized by their gender. So we serve all women. That includes trans and non-binary people. And pre-COVID, we really were a community center in all senses of the word. We kind of had one common room that was like the communal living room, dining area, where folks come together, have conversation, get a meal, and wait for, different services. We offer on-site advocacy support, essential supplies like clothing, hygiene, access to restrooms and showers, access to a safe place to get mail, computer and device charging access. And so prior to the pandemic, we were hosting all sorts of classes and activities indoors. That said, we are currently operating out of a church basement. So once the shelter in place orders and the social distancing protocols kicked in, that really made our work hard because it's literally impossible to socially distance in our tiny church basement. Just to give you an idea of the scope of work, we're serving about anywhere from 100 to 120 guests a day, and about 3,500 women and children in 2019. So then 2020 happened, and unfortunately we had to push the majority of our services outdoors. So for the last year, we've been hustling every day, dragging tables and tents outside. So that's where the supply distribution is happening. So right now, essentially, we're operating from 3 doors. So the front door is where folks can line up for essential supplies, things like clean clothing, hygiene kits, diapers, wipes, kind of all those things you can't buy with food stamps. Unfortunately, for more and more folks, they're also in need of things like tents, tarps, sleeping bags, because all the shelters were already full, and then COVID happened and they cut the shelter capacity in half so they could space people out. And then you go around the corner, and the other access point is where we serve meals. So we serve breakfast and lunch out of another door. And then around the corner is where our fellowship hall is, and that's where folks actually do get an opportunity to come indoors. They can sign up for a shower, they can come in and use the restroom, which we disinfect between every use. And that's also where they can sign up to chat with a social worker one-on-one. So those meetings are happening indoors. But some of our guests, literally the only time they've been inside in the past year is to use the restroom at Rosehaven. And so that's been really hard to see. So essentially over the past year, we've really had to pivot our services and focus on our most vulnerable guests.